Hello and a very good morning to all you viewers out there. You're watching the Morning News Show on CNN News 18. And I am Sriya Kundu, here to take you through all the top stories of the day from across the nation and around the world. And well, right at the top of this week, we have a success story. Yes, after concluding his power-packed multinational tour, first to the United States and then to Egypt, Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed at Delhi's Palam Airport at 12:30 a.m. last night. Now, he received a rousing welcome by all the BJP's MPs in Delhi, and BJP's National President JP Nadda was also present. Talking about Egypt, the Prime Minister's historic two-day visit elevated the relationship and bolstered cooperation, security, trade, investment and technology between the two nations. Now, the Prime Minister and the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held that the first bilateral meeting was taken place between the two nations since 1997. And the Prime Minister was even conferred with the Order of the Nile, which is Egypt's highest state of honor.
The Prime Minister's cavalcade has just left from the Palam Technical Airport. In fact, normally when the Prime Minister returns from such an important tour, you would see a lot of celebration. You would see a lot of people gathered outside. But today you've seen absolutely nothing. The Prime Minister just landed a short while ago. He was, of course, accompanied by External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar. And they've come back from that fantastic and the successful tour of US as well as, Egypt. And now you've just seen that the Prime Minister's cavalcade has just left from the Palam Airport. It's very difficult from here to really say whether anybody else was there inside, because we were told that certain MPs would be inside. We were also told that the BJP National President JP Nadda would also be inside. But, there have been no visuals at all. And just a few minutes ago, we've seen the Prime Minister really leave. And he's going to be headed to his local and Marg residence from here on as well. It's been a successful run for the Prime Minister. It's been a successful run for Brand India as well, with the kind of response that the Prime Minister saw both in the US as well as in Egypt.
This minute, I like to highlight the fact that during his visit, which is ongoing in Egypt, our Prime Minister has been awarded the highest award, Order of the Nile. This is one of the oldest in the sense it existed in Egypt even before Egypt became a republic. During the emperor's rule earlier, also they had this award, but in 1953 this award was restarted under the Republic of Egypt, and it's the highest award being given, and it's a proud moment for India.
I think absolutely. I think it's a proud moment for the entire nation, and it's a proud moment for the entire country as well, and I'm sure the entire country will cherish it.
Did he say anything to you all the moment he landed? Because he's always busy with work.
Not really, in fact. Had a very small interaction with him, and I'm sure the entire nation would be proud of him.
बहुत ही सफल दौरा रहा। इस दौरे के दौरान जिस प्रकार से प्रधानमंत्री जी को एक भारत के प्रधानमंत्री होने के रूप में इज्जत मान सम्मान मिली, तो वो इज्जत मान सम्मान पूरे देश की इज्जत मान सम्मान है। और पहले पापुआ गिनी के राष्ट्राध्यक्ष ने उनके पांव छूकर बड़े भाई की तरीके से व्यवहार किया। इस बार एक सिंगर ने उनके पैर छूने का प्रयास किया, तो पता चलता है कि भारत की सभ्यता संस्कृति के प्रति भी लोग जागरूक हो रहे हैं और लगातार जो है उसके विषयों को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। और तमाम, चाहे टेक्निकल डील्स हों, चाहे इकोनॉमिक फाइनेंशियल डील्स हों और कोऑपरेशन हो, ये अब तक 75 वर्षों में सबसे ऊंचाई की तरफ जो है रिश्ते बेहतरी की ओर बढ़े हैं।
प्रधानमंत्री जी का हम सभी ने स्वागत किया है।
क्या कहा प्रधानमंत्री?
प्रधानमंत्री जी बहुत प्रसन्नता की मुद्रा में आए हैं, और ये दिख रहा था कि इस यात्रा से जो भारत का गौरव बढ़ा है वो प्रधानमंत्री जी के चेहरे पे।
देखिए, प्रधानमंत्री जी की अमेरिका की यात्रा बहुत ही सफल रही और पूरा देश ही खुश है। और अभी जब हम उनसे मिले तो कोई उनके चेहरे पर थकावट नहीं थी और अभी भी वो फुल ऑफ एनर्जी थे, तो बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। हमने उनका वेलकम किया। हमसे पूछा कि देश के क्या हाल है, और आपका हमारा जो अपना लोगों से मिलना चल रहा है 9 साल की उपलब्धि के ऊपर में, वो कैसा चल रहा है, तो हमने उसका बताया।
Now we have some breaking news coming in, wherein the National Investigation Agency is conducting raids in over 10 locations across 3 districts of North and South Kashmir. The operation is connected to a case involving terrorist organizations collaborating with their Pakistan-based commanders. Now, the NIA investigation relates to the procurement and distribution of large quantities of narcotics, cash, weapons and improvised explosive devices, including drone-delivered, remote-control-operated sticky bombs and magnetic bombs. The raids are taking place in Kulgam, Pulwama and Bandipora. This is the information that we have for now. And we have with us Tejender on our broadcast joining us, and who will take us through the story. And Tejender, a very good morning to you. Well, this seems to be quite a high-scale investigation that has been launched by the NIA. And please take us through the fact as to what were the inputs that were received by them, because there were several of these drones that were seen coming in from the other side of the border. So what exactly were the inputs that led the NIA to launch such an investigation?
The raids are currently underway at around 10 locations, and the locations could increase as the day progresses. We are told that the raids are on in 3 districts across north and south of Kashmir, and these districts are Kulgam, Pulwama, and in North Kashmir, the Bandipur district. As you rightly pointed out, that this case pertains to the dropping of arms and ammunition, including explosives, including remote-controlled operated sticky bombs and magnetic bombs. As you know, that Pakistan has been trying its best to disrupt peace across the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir by sending in large consignment of explosives across the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir using drones. There have been several such instances wherein the security forces have recovered those explosives from near the international border or the line of control that were sent using drones from across the border. And following that, this case was registered by the NIA, and today the raids are underway at more than 10 locations across 3 districts of the Kashmir Valley. So we are told by the sources in the NIA that several locations which they came to know during their investigation, several residential areas which they came to know, they are carrying out raids at those locations. Yes.
Right, Tejender. Thank you for all those details. And it seems like you mentioned rightly, that it seems that the raids can increase, the locations of the raids can increase as the day progresses. But for now, we're going to shift our focus to another story that has been developing in the east, which is ahead of the Panchayat polls in West Bengal, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will officially kick off the poll campaign from Coochbihar in North Bengal today. Now, according to political experts, the Chief Minister's campaign kicking off from North Bengal is an indication of the importance that TMC is stressing on the region, considering that in 2019 Lok Sabha polls, not a single constituency in the region came to its kitty. Meanwhile, West Bengal's Congress President Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary has written to the State Election Commissioner Rajiv Sinha and Governor C.V. Anand Bose, requesting them to provide security cover to the media personnel during the ensuing Panchayat election in the state. Now remember, state BJP has already demanded a phase-wise elections in the area.
राज्यपाल को इस बारे में कोई अधिकार नहीं है। अगर संविधान के 243 के देखा जाए तो राज्यपाल केवल अपॉइंट करते हैं, राज्य सरकार जो नाम देते हैं उसको अपॉइंट करते हैं, लेकिन पंचायत चुनाव के बारे में राज्यपाल का कोई से नहीं है अकॉर्डिंग टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। वो बार बार बुलाते हैं, आउट ऑफ कार्टसी लोग जाते हैं, लेकिन वो अधिकार के बाहर काम कर रहे हैं।
पूरा स्टेट में वल्नरेबल सिचुएशन है, टीएमसी का गुंडा पुलिस का मिला भगत है, संतरास के अलावा उसका साथ जनाधार नहीं है, इसलिए ये कर रहा है। लेकिन बंगाल का जनता जागरूक हो गया है। ये तृणमूल को उखाड़ फेंकने के लिए जनता तैयार है। हर इश्यू में, हर प्रांत में धांधली के अलावा बंगाल में कुछ नहीं।
কারণ হচ্ছে যে এই স্টেট ইলেকশন কমিশনার কারণ পাপেট হলেও বলা যায় যে হ্যাঁ পাপেট, এই একবারে এটাকে স্লেভ বলতে পারে। এক সময় বলা হতো স্টিল ফ্রেম অফ দ্য নেশন।
Now, well, we are going to get some updates about the weather. It's monsoon season and the weather is impacting people's daily life. Heavy rainfall is taking place across multiple states, causing traffic and waterlogging. Now, according to the IMD, flash floods are likely to occur in Kangra, Mandi and Solan. The national capital, on the other hand, continues to get light to moderate rainfalls. Now, a yellow alert has been issued in Delhi for the next 2 days. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall lashed various parts of Uttarakhand amid an orange alert which has been issued by the MET office. Now, the State Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami visited the disaster control room to review the situation and advised Char Dham pilgrims to proceed with their journey only after taking a weather update.
क्योंकि फर्स्ट ट्रेन है, काफ़ी हैवी हुई है, तो और कुछ जगह पर जलभराव भी काफ़ी मात्रा में हुआ है। बट यह है कि कोई कैजुअलिटी नहीं है और जिन घरों में जलभराव हुआ है उसको प्रायोरिटी से GR वगैरह दिया जाएगा। बाकी रोड वगैरह सब ठीक है और कोई सार्वजनिक संपत्ति के क्षतिग्रस्त होने की सूचना नहीं।
Well, that was the weather update. We are taking you down south now. Following the meeting after protests and backlash from industrial associations and other power-intensive sectors, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is likely to hold another meeting with the Federation of Karnataka Chambers of Commerce and Industry to revise the electricity tariff increased by the Karnataka Electricity Regulatory Commission. Meanwhile, with the increase in tariffs, a government school in Hosa, Gabadi, unable to pay the electricity bill and the water bills, the school has now written to the government demanding free electricity. Now, remember, Kanakpura is the constituency of Deputy CM D.K. Shivakumara.
Most power consumers in Karnataka have received a rude shock this month after seeing their electricity bills. Domestic consumers are looking forward to some relief if the government successfully implements the Gruha Jyoti scheme of free power to households using less than 200 units every month. But it's the medium and small-scale industries that are worried. The Karnataka Electricity Regulatory Commission, or KERC, hiked power tariff by 70 paise per unit on 12th of May. The change reflected in the bills generated in June and was calculated retrospectively from April. Commission also added another hike of 51 paise per unit under the pretext of fuel and power purchase cost adjustment charge. With arrears being added, power bills have gone up by 60 to 80% for several consumers, leading to heated arguments between citizens and staff of electricity supply companies. Industries have been badly affected with such a steep hike in power prices, forcing them to hit the streets in protest.
Many industrial associations have called for a ban on June 22nd to ensure that they draw the attention of the government so as to make sure that they bring back the electricity tariff price to normal here in the state of Karnataka.
स्मॉल स्केल कंपनी है हम, अभी जो पहले आता था उससे भी डबल बिल आ रहा है अभी, तो हमने कभी भी पूछा नहीं था कि फ्री करंट दे दो, फ्री करंट दे दो, फिर भी फ्री करंट दे के अभी डबल पैसा मांग रहे हैं, तो ये हमारा स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री के लिए बहुत अच्छा नहीं है।
Industry groups met Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who expressed helplessness as the decision was taken by the Commission, not governed by the state. Sources say the government has advised the industry's body to now approach the Karnataka High Court.
ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಬೇಡಿಕೆಯಾಗಿ ಇವಾಗ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ನ 9% ಇರೋದನ್ನ 3% ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಏನು ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೊರೆ ಬೀಳಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನೇನಿದೆಯೋ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಸಡಿಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸು ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾರಾಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನೇನಿತ್ತು ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
Neighbouring states like Maharashtra and Goa have started wooing industries in the North Karnataka region. The state says it's wrong to blame the Congress government for the hike as the decision happened before they came to power. Even as they remind the industry that power tariff is much higher in the neighbouring states.
It is not done by the Congress government. When BJP was in power, from last November 22, this process was going on. Every ESCOMs has to go and give their expense and income and all to the KERC.
Amid this, the state government also has the task of allaying fears of the common man. As outrage grows, the Congress seems to be fumbling in the dark to assure voters that this power tariff hike is not linked to funding their pre-poll guarantees. With Akshara and Harish Upadhyay, Bureau Report, CNN News 18.
We're shifting our focus to some international news, wherein Russian President Vladimir Putin will be holding a meeting with the Ministry of Defense today. The top focus will be the events around the Wagner rebellion. Now, major changes in the military establishment will likely to be announced soon. For the moment, things appear to be calming down as the forces answering to Prigozhin, the Wagner Group chief, have halted their march towards Moscow and turned around. The development came after an agreement between Prigozhin and Putin took place with the intervention from Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. Now, CNN News 18's Anand Narsimhan spoke exclusively with Sergei Strokin, a political analyst from Moscow, about the Wagner Group rebellion. Listen into that conversation.
Mr. Strokin, can you tell us what's happened in the last 24 to 36 hours? There's been absolute mayhem and total confusion. What happened?
Well, after a day of madness, this morning we woke up to new sunny reality, which had a clear signs that all the controversy of yesterday, which made a lot of people half mad, including trying to buy tickets and to flee Russia. So the whole story is over. Luckily, there's a happy end in the whole story of this Yevgeny Prigozhin's so-called coup, which is over by now. This I can tell you for sure. So it has already gone into history, and it has, let me add to that it has gone into history as probably the shortest coup which can be written in a Guinness book, and also the funniest coup since, with all the dramatism of the situation, since there were no any clashes, there were no any casualties, not a single person was killed or even wounded, and not a single shot fired. So all that remained for us as some enigmatic event, which luckily faded away as a cloud, and we've seen silver lining to clouds, and we hope that we will pass. We have already passed this crash test and passed quite successfully.
Well, the Wagner Group is credited with some of the biggest gains for Russia in Ukraine and in this entire conflict, even with the Donbass offensive and what's happened in Donetsk, and they had an active role to play. What went wrong? What triggered the mutiny?
That's a $1 million question. Everybody's struggling to understand. I can just try to give you my perception, how I see it. But let me give you a bit of a background. Who is Yevgeny Prigozhin? You see, because one day people were asking who is Mr. Putin. Now everybody is asking who is Mr. Prigozhin. Mr. Prigozhin used to be one of the close friends of President Putin, and he was even nicknamed Cook of President Putin. Though in his interviews he more than once said that he knows nothing about cooking, and the origin of this nickname Cook comes from the fact that he's the owner of several restaurants where allegedly President Putin in the old days used to dine. But despite of this restaurant business, he emerged as the head of quite successful private military company Wagner, which was doing quite important job in hotspots of Africa before coming to Ukraine. When we talk about Ukrainian crisis and the standoff at the battleground, it's an open secret that Wagner boys were doing great job, and they were very effective and instrumental in the early months of the standoff with Ukraine. Specifically, largely to their credit, we were able to get control of strategically located city of Bakhmut. Sometimes it is called Artyomovsk. That's an important milestone of the whole Ukrainian campaign, and it should be credited mostly to Wagner boy.
It's less tense than it was. We know that Prigozhin's forces that were driving to Moscow are reportedly on their way back to base. The highway there, still the main highway linking Rostov-on-Don in the south to Moscow, is still not fully open to traffic. We know that in Rostov-on-Don itself, road repair crews have gone out to repair the areas where his Prigozhin's heavy military equipment ripped up the tarmac. But beyond some of these sort of physical details, there's a lot that we don't know. We don't know precisely where Prigozhin is. We know that he asked essentially for the removal of the defense minister, Sergei Shoigu. We haven't heard from the defense minister. We haven't heard from Putin. We don't know precisely where President Putin is. We know that Alexander Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, negotiated this stand down, if you will, and this exit, this off-ramp from what was going to be a Russian-on-Russian potential bloodbath. So they clearly got themselves, the leadership clearly got themselves out of a very tight and hugely dangerous and damaging situation. But how they did it and how it will play out is unclear. And I think one of the components that tells us how close this came to a massive potential bloodbath, we're hearing this morning that the Chechen special forces, and remembering the Chechen leader was one of the first big power players to come out yesterday and back Putin. His special forces are pulling back from Rostov-on-Don. So a calamity for Russia averted. But at what cost, and will it hold? These are unknown. These are unknowns at the moment.
What happens in the meeting is still yet to be seen, and we will keep a track of it and let you know about the updates as and when we get to know it. But for now, we're going to slip into a short break, but stay with us as we bring you all other news updates on the other side, right here on CNN News 18.
Goods, and you have also good access to Africa, where India is investing in Western and Central Africa, and Egypt can play a major role. Taking also in consideration India's interest of expanding its influence in this part of the world and access to Europe through the Suez Canal, where India can do a large investment in the Suez Canal if it gets an economical zone within that area. I think it is a very significant visit, not only for the private sector, but also for the public sector and for India and Egyptian people, where mutual understanding and benefit would be for both the nations.
Absolutely. Professor Nalapat, I want to come to that point when it comes to this outreach where this Naya Bharat push is coming into Egypt, where Prime Minister Modi is pushing that defense agenda, that Atmanirbhar defense agenda into Egypt as well, because HAL is talking about giving the Tejas fighter jets, the light combat helicopter, and also setting up production lines inside Egypt. When it comes to being a defense exporter, for India, how big a paradigm shift is this?
Well, I'd like to say that I'm glad we are defense exporters, because we have been spending a lot of money in foreign exchange on our defense, because frankly, we have neglected the Indian private sector and we have neglected the field of defense exports to friendly countries. Prime Minister Modi's visit is clear evidence of the fact that India will not confine its hinterland to what is called South Asia. You have countries for a long time, many countries, and even today, countries like China, Pakistan, etc., would like to confine us to South Asia. The fact is what I call Southern Asia, the entire arc of countries. And of course, Egypt is an honorary member of Southern Asia because of the fact that that the Suez Canal, and it has land on the Asian side, right from West Asia to Southeast Asia, is the natural hinterland of India. And from that point of view, Egypt is a very important player in the west of this arc of Southern Asia. Egypt is a leading country both in Africa as well as in the Arab world. So it has these twin roles. The Egyptian people have a long civilizational tradition that they are proud of. The Taliban, smashed the Bamiyan Buddhas. Several places of worship have been destroyed in our neighboring country. But Egypt has protected all of that. And that is because of the tolerance and the moderate view of Egyptian culture. It's therefore a very, very good idea that Prime Minister went to Egypt. And when we are talking about strategy and strategic issues, don't forget that the Suez Canal could be a very, very important trading point.
Welcome back. You're watching the Morning News Show on CNN News 18. And well, in this segment, we have a rather inspiring and an interesting story. Jagrup Singh, a progressive farmer living in a village in Haryana's Fatehbad, is earning lakhs of rupees in a month by cultivating dragon fruit on 1 acre of land. Now, according to Jagrup Singh, it does not take much effort to cultivate it with less water. Interestingly, dragon fruit, which was grown in countries like Israel and Vietnam, can be found in different parts of India like Punjab and Haryana.
ये वैसे तो वियतनाम इजराइल की खेती है, लेकिन अब कुछ सालों में हैदराबाद, गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र में अच्छी तरह कर रहे हैं। अब उसी को देखते हुए हरियाणा, पंजाब, राजस्थान भी इसको अपना रहे हैं और ये कम पानी की खेती है और लगभग 1.5-2 साल में आप इसको 8-10 लाख रुपए कमा सकते हो।
तो सरकार की तरफ से क्या सहयोग इसमें मिल रहा है जी?
सरकार इसको सब्सिडी दे रही है, ये खंबे हैं, खंबों की सब्सिडी दे रही है, पौध है, पौध की सब्सिडी दे रही है, नया बाग लगाओगे उसमें 1.25 लाख रुपए की सब्सिडी दे रही है। सरकार पूरा सहयोग कर रही है। ये ड्रिप सिस्टम की खेती है, टपका सिंचाई की खेती है, महीने में एक बार ही पानी लगा दो तो इसमें अच्छा काम चल जाते हैं।
Well, that was Jagrup's story and quite a motivating one for sure. But with that, I'm ending the segment. Thank you for watching, but do stay tuned to CNN News 18 for all other top stories through the day.